All right. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, everybody here for Train and Trade. Make sure that you're following us at dtitrader.com/Telegram and dtitrader.com/YouTube. Got a little bit of a risk disclaimer. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. Some of you might have noticed what the market was doing today. That's part of the risk. It's also part of the reward if you pay attention. You and you alone are responsible for all the trading decisions you make, including the trades you do take and the trades you don't. Past performance is not indicative of future results. And I'll tell you what, Tom, usually we look at the news here, but let's get into the opinions of the market. So, what I'm looking at, you gave a pivot at 7,007, and that was powerful because we got below that. We went to the Fed number. We went to the low of the previous day's Genesis bar. We went to the previous low of the day, and we kept going. And it started, in my opinion at least, at 7,007.
Let's stop right there. Does everybody understand the importance of my daily pivot? That's why I'm not upset about the market falling what it did, because that's the starting point for the way I look at the stock market, okay? The pivot number. That number came out in my T-Buzz TV. That number was published in TNT. Does everybody understand that before I go further? Today is going to be education. I don't get to give a lot because we never see a day like this where it's all come together. Like when the music stopped this morning, I want you to know how to read it and interpret it. It's a great opportunity for everybody here if they listen. Okay. Yeah, the Magic Five are pivots, Wendy. Magic Fives. Okay. Now, the pivot number, we got white papers on that. If you say you don't understand, then Jonathan put the white papers in there. Your homework assignment would be to read that, okay? Then ask questions, okay? Stay focused on what I'm saying. Everything that comes out of my mouth today is so valuable to you as an investor trader. And I'll try to underline it as I do it. I'm going to be very deliberate today. I don't get this opportunity often, but I want to do it today, okay? So there's the white paper, pivot number. Now, we got some basic framework of the month. It starts out with the monthly open. Does everybody know the monthly open for the E-mini? You need to know that number every day of the month. January. Does everybody here know the monthly open? Type it in here if you know it. If you got the Roadmap software, it's right there on the billboard. It shows you exactly where it is, 6902. Everybody see it? That's the real pivot number for the month. That's the monthly pivot number, 6902. Now, that structure helps you, guide you. If you look at that pivot number, it's kept you long all month long until this morning. If you look at it, that's on a daily, right? Is that you got a daily? What are you
We
showing me?
had a daily. I just switched it over to the intraday because I want to come in here, put an S&R line in at that pivot number you were using, that 7,007, just to show everybody. Let me get that a little bit more precise. And you can see how this market moved.
Okay. I don't want to get to what I'm trying to do, Chuck, is giving
Yeah.
a framework where they are sitting here and understanding what's going on. Okay. So we broke our daily pivot. That is the first warning sign when you break my pivot numbers. You got to, hey, maybe the market's not going to go up today. That's what you should be thinking when it breaks my pivot, 7,007. You always know that 6902 for the month of January, it will be that number today and tomorrow, 6902. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay. Now let's go to the 30 minute. I tell people to learn reference bars. The second warning sign you got this morning at 10 o'clock was a break of RB3. Everybody see that? Tell me you see that break of RB3. Happens between 9:30 and 10. What's that low, Chuck, of RB3?
69.66.
69.66. So it dropped from 7,007 daily warning sign to 69.66. And then it went lower. What's the next low on the next bar?
Low of the next bar is 69.39.
69.39. What's the next low?
69.02.
69.02. And what's the current bar's low?
68.99.
68.99. Okay. So time-wise, we're approaching Genesis. What happens at Genesis? From 11:30 to 12, what happens? The U.S. market takes over. Exactly. If it sets a low on Genesis, it trades back up. How high typically does it trade back up after a sell-off? This works for every day if it sets a low. It trades up to, Chuck, the low of RB3. What's the low of RB3?
That would be 69.66.
That's where you'll run into heavy resistance if the S&P gets a bid, okay? But we don't even know if it's going to get a bid because we've got another 50 minutes to get to 12 o'clock. Everybody understand that? So 69.66 might be a viable target on a reversal off of Genesis. Okay. Everybody understand that? Okay. Now, if it goes past 69.02, you go to the midpoint of RB3. What's the midpoint of RB3?
RB3 high was 21.50, low was 66. So let's see if we do 21 to 66. Grab a calculator real quick and let me figure that out for you.
I'll tell you, Chuck, it's 66, it's 95 is what it is.
That sounds about right.
Yep, 95 will be your next stop. And then, of course, the high of RB3 is what?
The high of RB3 was 21.50.
Given the whole number, Chuck, you're giving the last two.
70, 21.50. Yep.
Chuck and I are used to quoting the last two digits, and that's people's asked me that many times. What's 21.50? Well, it's 70, 21.50. So the odds of it getting that high today are very low. The odds of it getting to the low of 69, what was it, 60? 69.65?
69.66, yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, you ought to be putting these numbers in the chat for him if you don't mind, okay? Now, but let me ask the question. How do you know it's going to attempt to go to 69.60? Looking at the roadmap software, okay? Looking at the roadmap software, does everybody know about my two bars telling you direction? Have people want me to recover that? Okay, so you got to get higher than, if this ends up being the low, then you got to get higher than the high of the bar preceding it. What's the high of that red bar preceding this low?
That's going to be 69.43 quarter.
Let's call it 69.45. So if you go right now above 69.45, now you've got a high and it puts 69.66 in play. It's like a leapfrog, okay? One after the other. That's what's happened with the E-mini. Now, what I did is I told you to analyze the market with the roadmap reference bars, and they'll keep you straight. That puts everything in perspective. What happens And this is the number one rule of trading. What happens if the S&P goes up from here? What happens to all these stocks that are selling off? 75% of them go up also. You can throw charting out of the way, but 75% of charts follow the S&P. That's why I follow the S&P and make decisions off the S&P when I'm talking about the general market. That's why the roadmap, we got the E-mini, we can look at the NASDAQ, do the same analysis, do the Dow. We can do gold. Let's do gold. Let's do an analysis on gold.
All right, let's see. You want to use GLD?
Either one. Use GLD. Okay. Gold. RB3 open at what price?
I got RB3 opening at 509.50.
509.50 is where RB3 open.
For GLD, 509.52.
Okay, go do futures because my number's on futures. Sorry to do that to you, Chuck. Change it to futures.
All right, no problem. Let's see.
I always do
GC.
everything futures first, but where did gold futures?
So
First of all, write this number down. Gold futures open at 54.49 last night. That's the pivot number for today. Draw that line in there where you can see it. 54.49.
All right, let's see. We're gonna add S&R line at what was that price again, Tom?
54.49.
Okay, so you did it to me there. Um, that price.
54.49. 54.50 if you just want to round it up. 54.50. Make it simple.
All right.
54.50. Where's that line? Right there?
Yeah, that orange line.
Okay. When we broke that, if you know, does everybody remember we had a gold position? We are trying to get 324. I don't know if we got filled there, but I got filled at 312. But when we broke that, you should have took profits on gold today because you're up there in the stratosphere. You got to know this, and it's too much logistically in a market like that. But we have a gold position. You'll get a chance to get out, but that was an opportunity to step aside when you broke the daily pivot of 54.50. Write that down. That's an insight. If you're long a position making money on it, don't sit there fat, dumb, and happy. Wait for me to tell you to get out. I'm looking at the reference bars. I'm looking at my daily pivot. You got a warning sign. RB3 broke, and then it broke the daily pivot, and that was the sell signal intraday on gold right there. Does everybody see that? I want you to learn this. Okay, 54.50. Okay, now gold comes down, right? And it makes a low where?
All right, for those of you watching, you can see the low tagged on the chart, 5139.6.
And now on gold is trying to turn from that low, and you got a 2-bar high. You got the bar and you got the high. Everybody see that? Genesis is going to tell a story on gold. We got to get there, but I just want you to see it is trying to turn. Okay.
All right, so let's see. Tom, if we go back to our slides,
Yep.
I think, let's see, for train and trade today, I think our topic, well, first of all trades in trade and trade are tracked through T-Buzz Talk and Trade at dtitrader.com/TNT. And let's talk about silver. So,
Okay.
what have we got with silver today?
All right. We had, notice the high there was 119. We actually went to 122 today on silver. people that had been with me for a while was selling silver up there, taking profits at 122. I guess I bet if I asked Frank, who's tripled or quadrupled his account, learned futures from me, I bet you he took some profit up there. Frank, you take some profits up there at that 122 all-time high? Yep, he did. Okay. Now, that's the weekly chart on silver. So silver is corrected. SLV is corrected. What's the weekly low on silver? And I would use that green bar as a low because it looks to me like, Chuck, you keep shifting on me.
Well, I thought we were going over to daily charts, but I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan and let him handle your charts for you.
Yeah, we're looking at a daily chart now. You want to flip back to the weekly chart, Tom?
No, I finished with the week. Let's look at the daily. So you got a new low daily. So you need to know where SLV opened today. SLV opened today at 109.53. Draw a line on the daily open, 109.53. Let's go to a 30-minute chart now.
Okay. I'll take us to a live market. Get off the slides.
Okay.
The daily open is marked up there in that blue line here on our charts.
Everybody see it? It's marked there on the line. Okay. Then silver broke RB3. What's the low of RB3?
That was about 107.66.
Okay, question. If you break the daily pivot number, like you did on the stock market, and you break it on silver, and then you break the low of RB3, what happens next? Does it go higher or does it go lower? The criteria is, did it break the daily open? It did. And did it break RB3? Does everybody see what I'm trying to show you or teach you? How it went lower? Then it went down, made a low at 97, right, John?
Yeah, 97. The exact low is 96.85.
Okay. So that's pretty interesting. And now silver is trying to turn. Everybody see that? Where should silver trade back up to if Genesis is positive? That's a test question. Where should it trade back up to if Genesis is positive? Now, Genesis has to be positive. Low of RB3. What number is that, Jonathan, for SLV?
107.66.
That's about $6 from here. If RB3 is positive, should trade back up there. That's how you go from RB3 to Genesis to RB4. Like I said, it's very rare I get to show you this kind of stuff, okay? And we go, let me repeat, we go from silver's opening, SLV's opening, to a low of RB3, expecting it to go lower, right? That's exactly what it did. So here's a question. Now here, let's go look at it in numbers with silver. Jonathan, what's the 5-day low for silver? SLV. 5-day low.
Let me open up a trade tracker for us. This will tell us right away. SLV 5-day low is 89.67.
Let me ask you a question, people. Did silver break the 5-day low, SLV? No. We're down, but we're not out of silver right now. That's just the way to look at it. That's your warning sign if it breaks the 5-day low. Eventually, it has to break the 10-day low, but the big number is the monthly open. Look at the monthly open on silver.
All the way down at 67.30.
Learning how to use the roadmap software is the best thing you can do for yourself if you're a trader or investor. Okay, the 30-minute, you go to the 30-minute chart, Jonathan, on silver, you go on a daily. This is what I'm able to do today because you get to see the market. Silver market is having a correction. That's no big deal. It's having a correction. Now, when will I have a better understanding of what's going to happen today? I'll have a better understanding once I get to Genesis. Genesis happens between 11:30 and 12. And you can do this for stocks. You can do it for anything, what I just did. So Jonathan, can we go to like a whiteboard and summarize what I said, where they'll have it?
Yep, we can. Let me set that up real quick. Slide number 9 on the slide deck today. I'll switch over to it in just a second.
Okay. You want me to give it to you? Number 1, for the general market, use the pivot number for the S&P to check its vital signs for up or down. For any other market, number 2, use the opening price for that day to check its vital signs for direction. Opening price for futures happens the night before at 6 o'clock. Opening prices for stocks happen at 9:30. The cash open. Number 3, if you're below RB3 but above the daily open, you got a sideways market. You can't make a good decision. You got to wait. If you're below RB3 and below the daily open, expect it to go lower towards the monthly open. Number 5, Genesis happens between 11:30 and 12, and you gotta plug it into that day to make that transition from morning to afternoon. Number 6, know where the 5-day lows are, know where the 10-day lows are, know where the monthly lows are. The monthly low for the S&P is 68.14. You ought to write that number down, 68.14. But know how to get it. And we have a feature inside the roadmap that gives all this stuff to you, Jonathan. Tell them the feature. Put a parentheses around the feature. It gives them all that stuff.
5-day and 10-day lows can be found on the trade tracker. And many times that is where the monthly low is, but not always.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the true monthly low, if it extends further, I'd probably just use the research key for that. But there's
yeah. And you use a research key for the 10-day low too, but it's easier to look at it on the trade tracker. I agree.
Yeah. Either way. You probably already have a trade tracker up. So
with the roadmap software, you've got the ability to analyze any market at any time. You see why I tell everybody that works with me to get the roadmap software where you can follow along and learn this stuff? The cost of the roadmap should be about $15,000. We sell it for $1,000, but it's such a great tool because I can't keep up with all these numbers, but I look at the numbers. I look at the numbers starting, with the tools that we created to keep me on the right side. Okay. And finally, this is a strong analysis of the day. Let's go back to a live market. Why don't we go back to silver real quick? Anthony, I would definitely watch this tape. There's some great education in it. Okay, buddy? Get the recording, go over this, make sure you understand all this. Your results will change if you learn what I taught today. That's a promise. It will save your ass, according to Gary. Oh, you're funny. Okay. All right. This is an exceptional day, and I wanted to cover this. I don't get a big opportunity to do that, but it's an exceptional day. Genesis is starting. Opening price is what, Jonathan? 102 something? 102.30 on SLV?
10, yeah, let me just download the data. About we can call it 102. It'll finalize here in the minute or so. Well, it trades, 102 is good enough for the open of RBY.
Yeah, we'll repost the slides at the very end. All right, let me open it up for questions because I gave you a lot of stuff. I don't want to give you too much, but this is the first stage of really seeing the picture on a day like today. Because everybody panics. I never panic. I go to numbers. The reason I go to numbers is because my emotions take over. Does everybody understand why I go to numbers? Okay. How about questions? Anybody got any questions? I'd love for you to be right here with me where I can take you all the way through all the steps. You see why people fly to Ponte Vedra Beach to spend face-to-face time with me? This is an example of what they get, but they get all the stuff done in a short period of time rather than take a year. Stephen, the roadmap uses the easiest one, the best one I found right now is Charles Schwab. Now, Pete says, looks like we're making a turn on the market, maybe a panic this morning. Yeah, MTI is the other two. I'll cover that later. But you know, by looking at the roadmap ahead of the news, ahead of me telling you, if you learn these basic steps, okay? Joseph says, that's why I'm coming to see him face to face. I got too much assets that it took me years to make. I sure want to learn everything possible to take advantage of. If SLV goes up after Genesis, y'all know where it's going to? I gave you the number, didn't I? That's right, 107, exactly. If it goes up. And we know where the downside is the low. This is a great educational opportunity. John, we got any more slides before we give it an opportunity to get the roadmap?
Yeah, we got actually a lot more slides. Great
Let's
session.
go back to the slides then.
A few basic questions about SLV that, maybe you have questions, maybe you already know them, but SLV is an exchange traded fund. It's called an ETF. It tracks the price of silver. All right. An ETF is, if you don't know what that is, I think everybody now knows what that is, but it's a basket of investments that's real similar to a mutual fund, except way better because you can trade it yourself on the open market. So it's in that.
Hey, Jonathan, is it EFT or ETF? I'm just kidding you. Get your backwards there.
Sure do. I don't know what an EFT is, but
I don't know either.
this is definitely not an EFT.
What was that movie? It was famous that Spielberg did it.
Oh man, how many? ET, yeah, ET.
ET. That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking about. Okay.
So where does SLV get its value? Its value is tied to the price of silver bullion. So, but the question is, does that mean we can be delivered silver bars? And the answer to that as a retail trader is no. I learned something new today. I learned that, big institutional traders in massive blocks of change, if you will, can take the silver bars. But as a retail trader, we don't have to worry about any kind of assignment or anything like that. Next question is, how has Tom done this year trading SLV? It's been remarkable, actually. Here's
Anybody make these trades? Because I told Jonathan, I want to know every time I touch silver this month, I want people to see it. Usually why I tell people, if you listen to me and learn the roadmap, MTI by DTI, and stay with me, anytime I'm live, you ought to be there. But this is, y'all know anybody that can sport that kind of record and the volatility that we got right now? Huh? That's pretty good, isn't it? Even in this market this morning, I think didn't we have a long call of 100, 103 that we sold at 142, 43 or something?
this morning.
Yeah.
Well,
Did that this morning.
Very bottom.
Huh? What'd you say?
Very bottom line was from this morning.
Yeah. There you go. I call that's a 24% gain. Anyway, folks, if I show it to you, and the reason I don't want to be cocky about this, but I'm very confident that if you listen to what I tell you, you'll end up growing your account. And the reason I say that, not because I made it up, all I got to do is just say, hey, customers, who's growing their account? And you ought to see what they type in there when I say something like that. And that's the whole goal: grow your account, educate yourself, and learn this stuff. But anyway, very proud that fact we were on silver and we really took it around the block a few times. Okay. Peg said her account's up 40% since listening. Matter of fact, Peg became a gold person yesterday. Okay. Today for the silver wheel, we'll meet at 1. I don't know if anything clicked off this morning or not, but we got a good wheel going right now. And you got to be pretty happy if you've been doing what we've been doing. Okay. Dr. Wagner. Will you put the link in there for Dr. Wagner to watch the silver wheel? I think it's the absolute most outstanding, one of the top 10 trades of my career. I mean, we weathered this morning's big sell-off of about 12% in silver, and we were still profitable. So I think that's a pretty good strategy. So Jonathan will put the link in there. There's the replay, Dr. Wagner. If you got any questions, put your name and email, and we'll follow up with you, okay? That's the silver wheel. Okay, go back to, so far we covered this week, setting up the initial wheel. There's three spokes in the wheel, how to take profit and roll the wheel along. And then what to do when we're wrong. We got that covered. Today's lesson, Jonathan, tell them what today's lesson is going to be at 1.
I believe aren't you doing a tech wheel? I got it written down, Tom. I've been busy doing trade slides. So
what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a worksheet inside the wheel room today, a worksheet accumulating the key numbers ladder for SLV. That's my goal today in our education portion. And of course, we got new people, we'll do a wheel trade for them. So it's an exciting time at 1 o'clock when we meet. Yeah, Carol, you'll need a new wheel after 1. So just ask me that after 1. Carol says one of her wheels paid her and she's only down to 2 legs. She needs to know one more. So that'll be our goal today, Jonathan, is to do a numbers gathering approach based on what we know about SLV so far. Okay. Anyway, if you're interested, get on board. I think at the end of the week, I'm going to take the price up. I got to look at it and see, because I think we got most of the people that were interested at the discounted price. So if you buy it today, you'll get it. We'll put out the new price for silver wheel. It's just too valuable to give away at that price, in my estimation. Heck, people are getting scholarships after 1 day. So far, they're up 30% on wheel number 1, right? We had 1 wheel close out this week already. Anyway, that's the story. All right. Now, the roadmap software was my focus today. I start out every month talking about this. It's our proprietary analysis tool that we've been developing for close to 30 years. We're constantly improving it. It helps you decide whether the most important question in trading, long, short, or out. I focus on 4 simple patterns: a buy signal, a buy failure, happens a lot in a bull market, a sell signal, and a sell failure. The buy signal is pretty simple. When it goes into the yellow zone, penetrations, and then confirms it by going higher, then you have what I would call is a buy signal that should take you to the target or whatever ticker. By the way, the roadmap can be used with any ticker and any time that trades. Doug, it's 1 year. 1 year. Now, a buy signal is a failure if it goes into the buy area and fails and goes out the opposite side. It usually goes to the target. A buy failure is a signal you got to learn to recognize. We've got a whole tape on this to get in details. I'm giving you an overview right now. Remember, know this thing. Penetration bar goes into the yellow zone for the first time at the key reference bar time. The confirmation bar is the bar after that. Okay. The sell signal straightforward, goes into the sell area, then confirmed, goes to the target. That's the way that works. A sell failure happens in a lot in a bull market where it goes into the sell area, reverses, and then goes to the target on the other side. Those are great in a bull market. We're in a bull market on silver. We're in a bull market on the stock market. This is something I always look for each day. Seven Sisters is how I look at the world. There's the S&P. Look at the daily chart. Look at the negative reading. As for today, it broke the low of yesterday, threw us into a sell below the opening, and then we went lower and down. 30-minute chart, simple. Don't have to ask anybody, don't have to listen to news, you just have to watch what we teach here with the roadmap.
Yeah, and this was taken about an hour ago, just anybody's wondering, about an hour ago.
Yeah, you can use what I'm teaching, KD, on any market out there. Mine is fluid for any ticker you want to trade. There's a NASDAQ and there's a sell. There's the Dow, there's the sell. They're all common, aren't they? Crude oil had a sideways move. It had an up move on the daily and a new low on that. And crude opened last night at 70.21, right? I think I wrote that right. Wrote that right? Double check crude. I don't think it's that. It opened at 63.50. Yeah, it's at 65.50, so it's above its open. So you had a sort of a 30-minute sell, but you're bullish right now on crude for the month of January. Okay? First bullish month we had in a long time. Gold futures on the daily broke the low and then had a 30-minute sell. Silver futures broke the low from the day and then had a sell on the RB3. Pretty simple stuff when it's explained correctly, isn't it? Clears up all that noise out there where people are using this and that. Bonds are daily bearish, but sideways, the RB3 was positive. That's a sideways mark. I don't trade that mark. I wait for these two charts to be in sync. Okay? You get a trade. All right, roadmap access for a year. It's a license $997 with all the assorted material to learn from. Jonathan, don't you teach live on the roadmap too? Somebody was saying that you do a real fine job there. I was glad to hear that. When do you teach live?
Typically Tuesdays and Thursdays from about 4 to 4:30ish, 4 to 4:45, however long it takes to answer questions.
Yeah, you try to cover things that people got questions about, right?
That's right.
Buck just said it's super, your training. Somebody was looking at your videos and told me how good they were, Jonathan. I like to hear stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Thank you, whoever that was. Thanks, Buck.
Yeah. But we have a lot of support for you learning this. Training's great. All right, folks, I'm going to go concentrate on the rest of the day, but let's go live one more time and look at Genesis with a live market, and we'll play a tape for you, and we'll get any questions answered you have between now and then. Buck says the training itself's worth $997. Thank you. I think it is too. All right, this is silver, and you see silver's got a slightly high. Notice silver went into the, you got the 30-minute. Here's a classic case. See how silver went into the buy area there? Showing that white line went into the buy area. See that? What you don't want to see is SLV have a lower low and stay below that high. That high, that'd be a sell failure. Then you go back down to 100, okay, on SLV or close to it. What did I tell you? 98 was the big number down there? Yeah, 98. So intraday, it could get a little weak if that happened. To get positive, it's got to have another higher bar. Happens between 12 and 12:30, and it takes you up to probably good odds it's going to make it to 104 first and then 107 if that happens. And let's put the E-mini in there and take a look at the market itself, see what it's telling us. All right, the E-mini is going into the buy area. Again, from 12 to 12:30, we got to watch. If it does get positive, it's going to go up and trade to 69.60. Then we get to RB4 when I'll be live with you. Folks, I hope today's training satisfied you and got you up to speed. Can't wait to talk to my silver boys and girls at 1. And on the side, let's listen to that tape, see just how good the roadmap software is. Take it away.